pace of the start of the game was definitely out as well for State of Origin.
Yeah, we're getting feedback early about the ball in play and all those sort of stats, and Origin never surprises like that, where it's just high tempo and held a skelter, and they did really well. They lost a winger and they still managed to keep rhythm with what they were doing, and there's some things that could knock you about, but it was a high paced game, and I think start of Origin always like that.
Teddy, the first try from Jack Whiten, it looked like you guys were going to be on a roll from there on.
Yeah, I felt like our first half was really good. I feel like we got over the line a couple of times and a few disallowed, and then they sort of got one against the run of play, which was disappointing. And then I feel like in the second half we had a couple of opportunities, didn't make the most of it, and they had one or two and made the most of it. So that was the game.
I'll open up to media.
Ready to feel a little bit like Queensland, maybe own a couple of the big moments a little bit better tonight?
Not sure. Although they won the ruck, although they did a really good job there. So Munster come up with a couple of valuable steals at crucial times. But outside that, I think once we generated some speed, I thought we looked pretty strong, and I think generally they just won the ruck. Took some time out of that.
Freddie, what about your halves? I mean, did you feel like it was a little bit disjointed there at times?
Well, I think playing off slow rucks was pretty hard thing to do. So, that's the answer.
Why was that, Freddie? Why do you think they won the ruck?
I just think they did a good job. They got in tight and they held on, and Ashley didn't want to give penalties away. Then we got a penalty with 17 minutes to go. Was the first penalty. So, I think they did a great job. They worked hard there, and they definitely won the ruck.
Origin doesn't normally have a lot of penalties, but do you think maybe tonight there could have been a few more just to free things up a little bit?
Well, we should have done a better job. So, we should have held them down longer. Simple.
Pretty good. You said you were Zayo in the early seconds.
We didn't really get a hold of it. Our TV was actually playing up in the box, so I didn't get a look at it.
It can be a game of inches at times, Freddie. You have to try to pull back the forward pass. They get try sort of close to half time. But Freddie, Teddy, you questioned where Carlton slipped that ball, hit the ground, looked as though it could have been line ball. It's those sort of calls that can sort of footy game. They go both ways, right?
Be interesting the reports on. I thought Junior Paulo's one we're getting held into the scrum as well. So be interesting to speak to Jared and his view on the ball going forward and Junior Paulo being held. I think you were questioning the ref about that. But at the end of the day, it didn't. I don't know if it made the difference in the game.
Do you think one of the differences was not having the X factor of Latrell and Tommy Turbo?
Could have been. They're good players. So, everyone likes to have the stars, and when they're in form, then they create opportunities. But at the end of the day, it'd be pretty hard being a centre in how we played today, and with the pace of our play of the balls.
How do you fix that for the next game, Freddie?
We work hard, mate. Work hard, make it a real focus.
Freddie, have you got an update on Katona's day?
I think it's like a cork to his shoulder, so I don't think it's. We're hoping it's not anything else, but I think it's just a cork.
What about in terms of Cameron Munster? Freddie, we spoke to both of you guys on the match eve about controlling Cam Munster, but he was probably the difference tonight.
Yeah, he was dangerous. I feel like they sort of played how we wanted to play. Harry Grant was, had a quick ruck. Harry Grant was getting out, and Munster and Terry Evans, were playing off the back of that. So I felt like, as Freddie said, they dominated our ruck and created opportunities, and we just didn't do enough of that.
Did it feel a little bit disjointed to the halves and Danny Cook?
No, I felt like we were coming out of our own end really well. Like Freddie said, we were sort of going one out to a spot to try and create a play when we weren't pushing for each other on that play to create that quick ruck. So we spoke about it, but I felt like it was just a bit too one out, and then we're trying to play plays off the back of that with no ruck speed, and it's hard to find space off the back of that.
So did you feel Queensland able to make the ruck slow? Was that a Queensland thing, or was it the fact that the game was potentially not officiated the same way it was last year with the speed of the game?
Yeah, it's hard to tell. There was no penalty, so they were probably holding us down for the extra second, and yeah, it didn't allow us to free that space around the ruck and play with that freedom that we wanted to. So yeah, that's what it felt like. We just didn't have much space or quick rucks to pat on the back of.
Do you feel like as well, when you guys sort of went away from the structure in that last 20 minutes, that you started to ask a few more questions?
Yeah, definitely. I think we were playing footy that last 10-20 and we were creating opportunities, and we just didn't execute on the back of it. I feel like they only had a couple of opportunities, then they scored points off it, and we didn't. So that was probably the difference in the end.
Freddie, 16 of Queensland's 22 series wins have come after winning game 1. How significant is this task?
It's tough to go through the maths at the moment, but it's always tough, If you lose the first one, you're up against it. So we've got to travel to Perth. We have a week preparation there, and then obviously we've got to win it in Queensland. So winning the game there last year gave us a lot of confidence at Suncorp, but good challenge.
After a loss, there's always a reaction and calls for changes. Way too early to consider.
I think it's pretty early. Cool.
Freddie, but before you go, sorry, there's a couple of fan questions that we just asked you guys.
Right.
A couple of them have been asked, so you're out of the woods there. Tough one, I can't dilute this question, but what was the biggest thing that the team got wrong tonight?
What we got wrong? The speed of our play the ball.
Okay, you're welcome, I could just ask that. Second up, you talk about last minute plays. There's a picture on the wall in the gym, 79-28, I think it is. Were you happy with that last minute play that sort of came from the Blues camp tonight?
We had a couple of cracks late. I thought Jack Wadden had an enormous game. Down the left, he nearly got his arm free. I think Teddy or someone else was on the inside. So there was nearly opportunity for to take the game into extra time, but wasn't to be. And but not through the lack of trying.
All right, well, game 1 of the series, 2 more to go. We'll let you guys get back into the sheds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.